Today I'm analyzing every Star Wars movie to find which percentage of lightsaber color wins the most across the many duels. This means that we're not only looking at the 9 films, but also, yes, the entire Clone Wars and every other show with a significant duel as well. I'll also look at the win to lose ratio for each one to see what the best color to have is, statistically speaking. Now let's first look at the main movies, because to get to the bottom of which lightsaber color wins the most, I first used the duels from the prequels, originals, and sequel movies. Counting the wins from each of these, we can deduce that 50% of duels end with a blue lightsaber win,
it's fair.
25% end with a red lightsaber win, and 16.7% end with a green lightsaber win, and 8.3% end with a purple lightsaber win. So just going off of the Skywalker saga, blue lightsaber wielders are the most likely to win. These results make sense considering that every duel in the sequels ends with a blue lightsaber wielder winning, that being Rey, Luke, and then Rey again. Multiple times a red lightsaber wielder wins in the original trilogy, specifically Darth Vader every single time. Now, that of course isn't true in Return of the Jedi, but in A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, he does of course beat Obi-Wan and Luke in those films. And then if we look at the lack of green wins, which makes me very sad considering how much I love green lightsabers. I mean, I can't believe Kit Fisto didn't just lock in here and beat Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. But literally only Yoda in Attack of the Clones and Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi have green lightsaber wins under their belts. Mace Windu only fights in one duel in the saga, which explains the lack of purple victory, but then again, he did win his only fight he's been in, so perhaps with an equal amount of exposure as the other colors, purple would take up a larger part of the chart. Now, before looking at the data across all of Star Wars, let's first look at the Clone Wars specifically and see how this data compares to that of the main movies. Here, blue is still the most prominent color, but not by as much, as it has moved from 50% to 41.7%. Red is much higher with 30.6% due to the Darksiders being featured more in this series overall. Also, green is slightly higher with 19.4%. This time, Kit Fisto did come in clutch with his defeat of General Grievous. And haters will say that he didn't beat him here, but I'm pretty sure that this counts. I mean, he was on the ground and everything, you know? Then the purple lightsaber has no more than 2.8%, and the dark saber has 5.6%. In the Clone Wars show, we had a high amount of duels with a main character Jedi with plot armor fighting a main villain with plot armor, leading to neither opponent being affected too much by the person they win or lose against. When we look at the movies along with the Clone Wars, Rebels, and every live-action show that has lightsaber duels, we see that blue goes down even further to 39.7%. Keep in mind, it wasn't long ago that we were at 50% for blue. This makes sense considering that we now have much more data than just the sequel trilogy, which had all blue wins. Also, the newer shows feature a wider variety of different lightsaber colors, meaning that most of them don't feature blue in the first place. Now, green has actually gotten even lower, with only 15.5% of duels in Star Wars being won by green blades. For whatever reason, green lightsabers have become increasingly rare to see in Disney Star Wars, although there are rare exceptions like Sabine in Ahsoka and Jackie in The Acolyte. Red lightsabers have actually gone up to 31%, which makes sense considering the amount of Sith W's we got in Kenobi and the Acolyte shows. At the same time, the dark saber wins 5.2% of the time, the purple lightsaber wins 3.4% of the time, the white lightsaber wins 3.4% of the time, and the orange lightsaber wins 1.7% of the time. It is an interesting question to ask: if all of these lightsaber colors had the same amount of exposure, how much of their own percentage would they take up then? But before we get there, let's see what colors tend to win across different duels. With red versus blue duels, we find that blue wins 63.6% of the time, but red only wins 36.4% of the time. If we look across the movies and shows, we see that in the prequels there is about an equal amount of wins for blue as there is for red, and then the other two balance themselves out pretty good because while most of the duels from 4 through 6 end with red lightsaber wins, all of the sequel duels end with blue lightsaber wins, and then Obi-Wan and Master Soul win as well in their respective shows. For red versus green, we see that 50% of the time red wins, with Darth Maul killing Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Sidious defeating Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Then the other 50% where green wins is of course from Yoda defeating Count Dooku and Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader. And with purple versus red, we see that purple wins 100% of the time. This makes quite a lot of sense considering that Mace Windu was the one to wield purple in every duel that pairs purple against red. And for blue against blue, funny enough, we see that blue wins 100% of the time. It's almost like either way the fight goes, blue is going to win. Crazy, I know. And Anakin vs. Obi-Wan is truly the only example of this in the movies. But real quick, here is the Christian advice of this video. If you want to get back to the main video, you can skip to this time right here. Now, this time we don't really have Christian advice, but it's more of just sort of advice that I think is a little bit smart, and that is to every week go through your week and just find a few things that you're doing where you can easily make up time and save time by not doing that you don't need to do, and then that way your life will be a lot more smooth, you'll have a lot more free time, and it'll just generally be a lot happier. For me personally, I looked at my week and I realized that for one, when I'm going to the gym in the morning or afternoon, I'm parking like really far away from the gym, so I have to actually spend like 2 minutes walking up to the gym, and now what I'm doing is parking like right next to the door so I can literally just hop out and get right in. And then also I realized for the short film I'm working on right now, every week on Sunday when we finished filming, and then the next Friday or Saturday morning when we began filming again, I would take every prop and costume for the movie out of my house and load it into my car, and then I do the same thing at the end of the weekend, and that was costing me like 20 to 30 minutes every week. And I realized, low-key, I can just keep this in my car for the rest of the month and then just save like hours of time when you put it together. I don't know, just things like that. Go through your week. I'm sure you can find at least a few things that could definitely help you out. Literally just take like 10 minutes on a Sunday night or something like that, and that probably would save you a lot of time, and I just think that is a smart thing that you could do. But getting back to the video, just a quick little announcement. We do have the new spring merch drop for dbbhstore.com. It has a lot of new Christian hoodies, Anakin hoodies for Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary, and some really cool things like that, so definitely check it out if you are interested. But yeah, back to the video. Now, to get more accurate with our data, let's see what the win to lose ratio is for each lightsaber color, shall we?
What did you say?
For blue, we see that this color wins 57.1% of the time and loses 42.9% of the time, and I guarantee you that if it wasn't for the sequels, they wouldn't be over that 50% mark. And while green wins 50% of the time and loses 50% of the time, which is no different than the red versus green data set we looked at earlier, as all green duels have been against a red lightsaber wielder. But this surprised me because I always feel like green tends to be given to more powerful Jedi, but I guess that makes sense considering that one of the two duels green has ever lost in was with Yoda, who is the most powerful Jedi in the Order. And for red, we have an embarrassing win rate of 41.2% with a lose rate of 58.8%. This just goes to show that despite them winning so many lightsaber duels across Star Wars, this is really only because they are featured in every single one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want to see more percentage type videos like this. I actually have another one in mind where I'm going to look at what percentage of each Star Wars movie is action versus, non-action scenes like dialogue, and I think that'll be pretty interesting to see which ones are non-stop action and which ones are boring as can be. And if you like this type of video, you might also like this one I did where I looked at what frame is exactly halfway through each Star Wars movie, and you can see that if you click right here. But yeah, see ya.